Welcome back to our playthrough of Aeon Trespass Cycle 1. This will be the second video in the series, but really the first video where we're actually doing real gameplay. The first video was mostly about sharing some information about the game, catching up on where I'm at in the story, because I'm not starting this playthrough at day 1. I'm starting it where I decided to start filming, which happens to be around day 36. So we're actually going to go through a little bit of the voyage, maybe the adventure phase today, and then as well we'll get into a battle. So we'll kind of see a little bit of everything, hopefully. We're going to jump over to our map view here, and you can see we have our map and we have our scribe app open on the side. So we're going to be starting off on day 36 by going into the, I forget if it's called the navigation step or the travel step. It's probably called the travel step, but we're going to do the travel step. So right now we're on that northeast tile, that far northeast tile. Let me go to a view that I can show you a little bit about what's on that tile. So here's the tile that we're currently on, and you can see there's 4 different directions we can travel. We came from the west, so if we want to explore a new tile, we can either go north, south, and east. And on each of these cardinal directions, there is a tile number that we need to pull from the pile if we want to explore that tile, as well as a symbol for the faction that quote-unquote controls that tile or is most present on that tile. So that can affect a few things like our exploration cards that we'll see. I want to go south. Previously I mentioned, if I jump back to this other view, I mentioned that we have this map from Zenodice, I have no idea how to pronounce the name. But we have this map that we're trying to use to find the Sepulchral Acropolis, which is where Ariadne's grave is, and where we hope to find King Minos, he's our real objective because he needs to give us access to the Daedalus Vault to give us things to repair the ship. So we're trying to find all these things really just to be able to fix our damn ship. But this map, you can see that we're trying to go to these different points around the island of Crete. The one that we're closest to is this one in the far east, but rather than just go directly there, I want to continue exploring, and so we're going to do a little bit of a loop down, loop back up. I think that point is probably at this part of the map, so we'll probably hit it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, because you generally travel one tile per day. So yeah, we are gonna go, we're going to go south on our current tile here, and we'll end up going down to tile 54, which is under Minoan control. And we are at war with the Minoans, if you remember. We can check that by looking at the diplomacy statistics on our scribe app. Yeah, being at war with a faction is not great if you're traveling in their territory, as you might imagine. So with that, we will go to our tile stack here. I think, what did I say? It was 54, tile 54. So we're going to find our tile 54 here. Oh, actually, and I had pulled it out because I knew I was going to be going for this one. So tile 54, this is the one that we're going to be going to. And anytime if you're playing this game and you're pulling out new map tiles to explore on, you should look closely at every single one of them. This is actually a great tile as an example of why you should be looking closely at it. It's going to be really hard to see on the camera, but if you look closely, maybe we can get a little bit of a closer up view here. You can see in that top left corner, just on the edge of this cliff here, still in the green, there is some very faint text with 4-digit code. This one says 0281. I'm not sure if you can actually see that on the camera there. A little bit, if you know what you're looking for. But yeah, in some of these map tiles, there are hidden codes to be able to go to see secret passages. You might learn a little bit more about the environment. Actually, I think that's generally what it is. You learn a little bit more about the history of like the place you're in, or maybe get a few extra resources or something like that. So I don't think they're ever bad things, if I remember correctly, which is, really a stretch for me. But so yeah, we'll go ahead and note down that code 0281. We're going to put that on our timeline just so we remember to read it during the story step. I think for these hidden codes, you might actually be able to read them during an earlier step in the voyage phase, but we're just going to say it's during the story step, because that'll be easier to remember, and we'll note it down so we don't forget it. Otherwise, some other symbols on this tile that we should take into account. This symbol is for an adventure hub, so we'll get to go on an adventure and learn maybe something more about the land and the people here. And then this more obvious, and I'm not pointing to the 4-digit code again, but this little symbol over here, this Titan symbol, is to say, hey, we found a rogue Titan. But yeah, so some cool, interesting things on the map over here. It looks like there's some shackles and maybe some blood. I don't know, these map tiles are always really cool. Need to pay closer attention to them, because I think the creator of Aeon Trespass has talked about how some of the things, like there's a lot of thought put into these maps and the art and illustrations, and things from future Aeon Trespass games are actually referenced in map tiles and other artwork, because they've been planning things out for so long. So super cool. I'm not familiar enough with all their, I know the next game they're coming out with is the 12 Sins of Heracles, which I have backed on Kickstarter. Hopefully, I think they're expecting to release the first part of that game this year in 2026. But I'm happy with them taking their time, because they put out excellent work. Anyway, tangent over. So this is the map tile we're going to travel onto. Gonna go ahead and put that down. Oh, let me show this so you can actually see where I'm putting everything. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on our big map there. We're gonna move our ship down, the Argo. And so now that we have the travel step done, we're going to go ahead and mark the timeline step. When I have not actually done that acclamation, I'm not sure why that is marked already. That's okay. So we're going to go ahead and mark our next day on the timeline. And then the next part of the voyage phase is the exploration step. And I want to make sure I'm doing these things completely correctly, because now that I'm actually recording myself, it's good to make sure that we're doing things by the book here. So if you ever forget, you can go to Around Summary in the Scribe app. It's a nice quick overview of all the different steps. Oh, I think there's a bug here. I submitted a bug for this. I think I may have to restart Scribe. I haven't restarted in a while, so this may have been fixed already. But yeah, you can see movement step, timeline step, all the different steps here. They should be expandable boxes, but we'll go ahead and expand them all out. They're not quite working, but I think if we expand them and then we go back and then we go back into the round summary, I think that fixed it before for me. Yeah, okay, so now you can at least see that we have all of our steps expanded. So this is the full overview of when you're going through at each day in a cycle of Aeon Trespass. These are the steps you do. You get into a rhythm with them. They're pretty quick. It looks like there's a lot of things here, but you kind of start going through them pretty quickly. So we just did the timeline. We did the movement step. That's what it's called, not travel, but movement step. So we just did the movement step and the timeline step. So now we're on the exploration step. So now we resolve positive exploration symbols such as progress and Titan symbols. There were no progress symbols on our map tile, but there was a Titan symbol. So we are going to go and get a Titan for that. And I think we were at 9 out of 10. Yep, so we have room for one more Titan here. Go ahead and add them. There's nothing special about it. When you find a new Titan, they are just the standard Dreamwalker Titan. For each cycle, there's a slightly different Dreamwalker Titan, just because every cycle kind of scales up a little bit in power level. So the Dreamwalker Titans that you find are just a little bit different in each cycle. So now we did that part of the exploration step. So the next part is the exploration cards. And this is where we can really get screwed with being at war at the faction who owns this tile. So we're on a Minoan tile, we're at war with the Minoans. And so I have our exploration cards over here in our little dice tray. So what you do is you end up drawing, well, I'll just go ahead and do an example here. So we're just going to draw this one card. And what you're doing is you're going to end up creating two quote unquote piles of cards. Sometimes the card will have a symbol in the bottom right that is like a little deck with an arrow to show like, yep, keep going for this pile. You keep drawing, but the pile stops when you find one of these cards that has a symbol with a deck with an X through it. So for this pile, we're only going to get the one card. So it's a desecrated temple that we found, and we're going to scavenge 2 monument resources from that. And unfortunately, we meet this trigger here as well, denounced or worse. If you are denounced or worse with the faction that owns that tile, you're going to gain a stranger. And we're with the Titans, which is worse than denounced. So let's go ahead and get our 2 monument resources first. Boom, boom. And then we're gonna just invite a friendly stranger onto the ship. So we're at 4 strangers right now, which is kind of a lot. There's a negative exploration card in the deck called Dog Days that can result in you getting, oh my gosh, I forget. It's if you have like 3 or more strangers, you gain, why am I forgetting? It's either Argo Fate or Doom. I can't remember. But you want to try to keep your stranger count low if you can. So one way we can try to avoid, even this is going to be really hard to do. One way you can try to avoid gaining the strangers is that as you're going through the cycle, you're going to research technologies. There's 2 different types of technologies that you can research. There are structural technologies and there are combat technologies. Combat technologies are the most straightforward. You're basically researching cards. Let me see if I can show you an example. Show you the actual card, but we'll mostly be doing this in our handy little Scribe app because Scribe is amazing. So this is an example of a combat research card. So in this one, it tells you like, oh, what are the previous things that you need to have researched in order to be able to research this one, and then what new thing can you unlock with this. So if you looked at the resuscitation technology card, this Labyrinthoros sighting would be a prerequisite to teleresuscitation. So that's a combat, and you can tell it's a combat by that nice little aggressive, kind of hard to tell, but it's a fist. Looks like maybe, yeah, it's just a fist. So fist, obviously fighting, combat, aggressive. So put that back, and then the other technologies that we have are these structural technologies denoted by that little temple symbol building with looks like a gear, part of a gear in front of it. And yeah, the structural technologies do things that generally help you more in the adventure and voyage phases. They can be things that, like in this case, this is a save. So you can gain 1 Argo Fate when you're about to gain Doom during the voyage or adventure phase to test, to do it oh, this is not a diplomacy test. This is just do a specific type of test. So it gives you the instructions there. But we are not about to gain Dune, we're about to gain strangers. So we're going to go to our Scribe app here. We'll see these are all the technologies that we have. This is not the easiest view to look at in terms of seeing your bonuses, so we're going to go to the bonuses view. Argo ability, I'll explain some of this stuff when we're actually using it. Let's scroll down. Save, we're looking at save. So saving is like, okay, we're trying to prevent something bad from happening. What's a save that we can do to prevent that bad thing? And the one that we care about is this rhetoric save. It's persuasion save. I don't know that persuasion means anything other than that it's about to actually just be a diplomacy. Oh no, I guess it's just the name of the save. Okay. We're gonna gain, if we wanted to use this, you don't have to. We may not want to because we would have to gain 1 Argo Fate when you're about to gain strangers. Or to gain 1 or more strangers to test diplomacy of 7+. If you succeed, you lower the stranger count or lower the stranger gain by 1 to a minimum of 0. So we could potentially avoid gaining the stranger at all. But if you fail, you just gain an Argo Fate for no reason. So a diplomacy test of 7 or higher would be you're just rolling a d10. And if you were at neutral with the faction that owns your tile, then you would just be trying to go for a 7 or higher. But if you go back to our diplomacy scores over here, there's this handy little table to see everything. So yeah, if you are neutral, you would get a bonus of 0. And if you're at war, you get a bonus of -3. So we are at war with the Minoan, so if we wanted to try to save against this, we'd have to roll a 10. That's a 10% chance. That means we're guaranteeing ourselves to gain an Argo Fate, and we are very unlikely to actually prevent that stranger gain. I will probably not do it. The only reason I say probably is because we're going to have a combat encounter coming up. Combat encounters, after you do a combat encounter, it helps to reset certain statistics. So going through regular combat is the biggest thing it does is there's two main things. Resets your Triskelions for each of your Argonauts. So if you have somebody with a lot of danger or something like that, they will get rid of that after the fight, assuming they survive, which most likely they will. But the other thing it does is it reduces Argo Fate. So in the case of the timeline battles in cycle 1, generally you're going to remove 2 Argo Fate after you complete a combat encounter. So we only have 1 Argo Fate right now, that 109 in the middle at the top there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn on, I think it's easier for me to be able to point out things in Scribe if I can show my cursor. Maybe it'll get annoying, we'll see. Yeah, there we go. Now I can see, I can point to things. Let me go ahead and take a drink of water real quick, excuse me. All right, we're back. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could gain an Argo Fate. And we're only at 1 Argo Fate right now, so I hate when I have the ability to lose Argo Fate and I can't maximize on that. But I don't know that gaining 1 Argo Fate right now is really worth a 10% chance at preventing stranger gain. We always have to be careful of stranger danger. It's very important, but sometimes strangers can be friendly, and we're just going to hope that this one's friendly. So anyway, I promise it will not take me this long to resolve every single exploration card. That was probably, more than 5 minutes? But hey, we're learning, we're teaching, we're having a good time. But we're gonna increase our stranger count. Dog Days, the negative exploration card, it removes crew. That's what it is. If you have too many strangers, then you lose crew. And we're okay on crew. Anyway, sorry. tangent that I just remembered. All right, so we resolved one pile. I did air quotes there. It was probably a weird finger thing on the camera. But we're gonna do our second pile. So, okay, so still only a single card. We have a fun symbol that we get to explain, and I'm sure you're so happy to just listen to me explaining things and getting away from gameplay time. But hey, you're still here, I think. So the weapons cache, we're gonna gain 2 armament resources. Oh, actually, sorry. This also has a denounce the worst, gain 1 armament resource instead. Show that there. Sometimes the exploration cards are nice and it's, you know, an effect, and then, hey, if you're friendly or better, you get a better effect. We just happen to draw ones that were, hey, if you're really fucking over the people who own this tile, you're gonna get fucked over back. So that's where we're at right now. So we're only gonna gain 1 armament resource. That's okay. I'm not desperate for those resources right now, so we'll live with that. And then the symbol at the bottom is our adversary activation symbol. So in the first video, I think I showed the tiny little miniature of this guy. This is not a great paint job and also not great lighting. You can't really completely tell what this is, but this is a guy who chases us. He's not chasing us right now, but if we were to have drawn 2 of these symbols, these adversary activation symbols, during our exploration step, we would have been putting this guy, the pursuer, on the map. And it'd be going on this overland map, and he'd be chasing our poor little Argo. So, yeah. It's nice that we only got 1. We don't have to put him on the map. He stays off. He's going to leave us alone for a while. Adversary activations, adversary battles are tough. They are the harder primordials in the game. They start off easy in terms of, hey, they're not using their full power when you're fighting them for a while at the beginning. But if you deal 10 wounds to them, you can piss them off, and then they will just harass you the rest of the cycle and maybe going into the next cycle. I think they're generally designed so that, okay, this adversary that you encounter at first in cycle 1, you probably don't permanently kill until cycle 2, and so on and so forth. So it's usually designed with like this strength of like, you know, +1 cycle power level in mind. But one of the things I really want to do in this playthrough is try to kill the pursuer in cycle 1. Didn't do that in my first playthrough. I killed the pursuer in cycle 2, so they will follow you between cycles. You're never safe. They're coming for you. But yeah, so we'll see. That's kind of my goal, is to be able to do that. All right, so we resolved our exploration cards there. All right, and then let's just make sure I'm not missing anything. So we resolved our exploration cards. Okay, actually, I guess I can be doing both my stacks at the same time, and then we resolve them. Okay, that's good to know. I think that's actually what I used to do before I took a break, and then I forgot what that rule was, so we'll do it right from now on. Oh, okay, and resolve acclamations as noted on the timeline. And look at that, we have an acclamation. I marked this as done already. It wasn't done. I think so Scribe allows you to track your exploration deck in here. I don't know if Scribe actually allows you to... Oh, actually, I'm sorry, real quick. I just realized I put my discard at these in this wrong spot. The cards that I put back here in this little like discard slot of this card holder are not actually discarded. They're remove, sorry, upside down. They say remove until the next timeline battle. So these are more I won't say more negative, I'll say more influential, because they can be positive. They can actually have positive effects on them, but they're stronger cards. And so you can only get them at most once per, once per 7 days, because you generally have a timeline battle every 7 days. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing, but let's see. What was I explaining? Acclamations, yeah. So I think Scribe you can actually use to track all the cards in your exploration deck. I don't know if you can actually, if there's a draw mechanic in Scribe for that. So I don't really use Scribe for this so much, but you can if you want to. It might just be for if you have to like pack the game away and you need to see what cards should be in there. It'll help you build the deck back up. So for this acclamation, we are going to remove cards 3, 7, 9, 13, and 23 and replace them with 15, 16, 17, 18, 27. So we're going to go through our deck here. We're going to find cards, 3, 7, 9, 13, 23. 3, 7, 9, there's 23. 3, 7, 9, 13, 23. 9, 13, and 3 and 7. So we have 3, 7, 9, 13, and 23. Sorry, I'm trying to fit all this in this little space here. And then we're going to, from our deck that we have off camera on the side over here, we're going to get their replacement cards out. And generally the replacement cards end up being about even in terms of, like, you can see we're pulling out 3 cards here with adversary activation symbols. I think we're going to expect to see in these new cards there will be 3 adversary activation symbols amongst them as well, but you'll get more pronounced effects, like, you know, maybe you might gain like 4 trireme resources or something like that. So let's confirm my theory there, or really my memory more so than a theory. So we have 15, 16, 17, 18, and 27. Okay, so it's at least right on the adversary activation count. Yeah, okay, and then we have 4 trireme resources, 4 trireme, 4 monument, 3 armament. So the effects are just more pronounced. And even this one, you may gain 3 Argo Fate to gain 1 priest, and that's probably not really that easy for you to read. You might be able to read it from that. Yeah, it's pretty blurry, but we'll explain it more as we come up. So I'm going to take my little sleeves off here. Oh no, that's a bad place to put that. It's not the area that I normally do this in, but you know, I'm trying to do it on camera, trying to do it for the people. I'm a man of the people, which is actually an adventure hub in this cycle. So let's double check here. 15, 16, 17, 18, and 27. 15, 16, 17, 18, 27. Yes, all right. Whew. We succeeded. We succeeded at the acclamation. We did it. We got through it. We survived. Only survived because I had you here with me. And so we can shuffle those together. It's really hard to shuffle awkwardly over here. May not always be shuffling on camera just because the camera angles that I have set up make it really inconvenient for me to. And this is not too bad. I can, you know, do a little shuffle over here. But yeah, I'll try to shuffle on camera when I remember and all that stuff. So I'm gonna put these back in this deck over here in order for my own sanity. Yeah, okay, so that'll be 3, 7, 9, 13 and 23. All right. Put that over on the side there. Okay. So we did our acclimation. That's great. We'll go ahead and take a look at our round summary again. Then we're going down and we're doing our expedition step. So this is conditional. This doesn't occur every time. But hey, you are in luck because it is occurring today. We are lucky winners here. So the expedition step is if you're resolving something like an adventure hub symbol on the card, which we had on our current tile. Real quick, just checking something here. And I'm going to check one of these camera angles real quick. I just realized it might be a little off. Oh, no, okay, that's good enough. You can just see my cards are peeking out on the side over here. There we go. So yeah, we do have an adventure hub symbol. So the way that we resolve that is we are going to pull out our Cycle 1, our handy dandy Cycle 1 adventure book. Or cycle book, whatever they're called. And then we're going to go to this nice little adventure hub table on here. And we are going to roll a die. We're currently in story 3, so we're going to roll a die, and whatever die we roll, we're going to get a chance to do a part of that adventure hub of that story. So each of these adventure hubs tells a different story. In our Scribe app, you can see that each adventure hub has a certain number of steps to complete it. So the first and last nodes in each adventure hub, like the beginning adventure in that hub is always the same, and the final adventure in that hub is always the same. We go over one of the completed adventures here. So yeah, the catch, like anytime you do Plight of the People, you're always going to get the catch first. And anytime you do the final one in Plight of the People, you're going to get Sowing and Reaping. But the ones in between can be randomly drawn from, or randomly rolled from a table. So we're on story number 3. So we're going to be going with these numbers here as our guide. Let's go ahead and roll die here. I'll put this on camera. Live action rolling. Boom. We got 8. We got Tears of a Minotaur. Boom. Which is good because generally you want to try to close out adventure hubs if you can. Like I admitted in the first video, I fudged my rolls a little bit for the Fated Conundrum and Plight of the People hubs because I really wanted to close those out. Mainly, I had naturally closed out Fated Conundrum. I really wanted to close out Plight of the People, so there were 2 coming clean. The thing I fudged in this campaign, there were 2 rolls for Plight of the People, or 2 adventure hub rolls that I didn't get the Plight of the People hub, and I forced it. Sue me, please don't. I can't afford it. But yeah, the reason that you want to get to the Omega, it's called the Omega hub as the final adventure, is that's usually what gives you the kind of big reward for going through that adventure. Like you're going to get some good story throughout the whole adventure hub. Really, they're all really well written. They're all really cool and really fun. But there's like, it's the grand finale. You kind of close out that part of the adventure and maybe you learn some insightful new information, or you also get some kind of like a cool reward from it. So for the Plight of the People adventure hub, spoiler, I mean, I'm not going to talk about, no, I'm not going to be giving spoiler warnings every time I talk about things in the story, because I won't reveal any big spoilers. But yeah, the reward for the Plight of the People Omega hub is a new exploration card called Theseus's Cache, which just gives a bunch of different resources. So it's good if you happen to draw it. I don't think I have drawn it once. I have drawn it once. But it does give you a fair amount of resources. I didn't get that in my first playthrough of the game, so I was curious to see what the reward was for that adventure hub in this playthrough. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like it. I forget what all the rewards are for these adventure hubs. But yeah, anyway, so we rolled an 8. We're going to be doing Tears of a Minotaur. I do have another, if I wanted to, if I got, let's say Uneasy Rest Ahead or Dreams Laid Bare, which I haven't worked on yet. I haven't made any progress towards. And I wanted to try to roll for Tears of a Minotaur. I have a structural technology that would allow me to re-roll this die once. But yeah, I don't really have a need to do that. So we're going to go to Tears of a Minotaur in our book. That's on page 67. We have some nice, look at that, some amazing artwork. It's really cool. And then here's our other table here. So the alpha and the omega, you can see like the first one is our alpha. You always do Ariadne's Love first in this. Omega is Poseidon's Gift. You always do this as your final hub. So we need 4 nodes on this to be able to complete the adventure hub. So we'll have 1 more that we roll for, and then we will do Poseidon's Gift if we get Tears of a Minotaur again at some point. So we'll click on Tears of a Minotaur, and we're gonna roll here. Ooh, we got 10. Nice. So that's gonna be the last goodbye, and we're gonna check something because, oops. Oh, actually, well, I did that last time. So if I try to go to add it here, I actually would not be able to add it. And you can see I have these check marks next to some of these other adventure hubs, and that's because Scribe has the data from my first playthrough, and those check marks represent check marks in these faded boxes. Anytime you see a box like this, it's called a faded box. And rather than writing in a book or in like the actual book for the game, you can use something else to track it. But it allows you to, like, if you saw certain adventures or stories, or you saw these different events in one playthrough of the game, those check boxes carry through to other playthroughs just to be able to give you the opportunity to see more content in the game. So for instance, like I can't do Hooves and Saints in this playthrough, and I can't do Virgins for the Horned. I think it's for the Horned. It just looks like Homed. What does it say in our book? Yeah, Horned would make more sense. Homed would be very odd. Virgins for the Not Homeless. Yeah, Virgins for the Horned makes more sense. So we are going to roll again here, and basically we're just waiting to see, are we going to get a 1 or a 2 for Orphaned by the Minotaur, or are we going to get, what's the other one I have to do? Trial by Bull, 7 or 8. All right, yeah, so we're going to say 1 through 5 is Orphaned by the Minotaur, 6 through 10 is Trial by Bull, because we're at a 50-50 right now. 1 through 5, so we're going to do Orphaned by the Minotaur. Boom, we're going to select that one. We see that we got gods as the trait, so compare that to what we have in the book here. Oh, it's right here. Orphaned by the Minotaur, we have this trait gods, and so that is an indicator that we should check the nemoses on our Argonauts to see if their nemos shares that trait, and if it does, it gets a node. I think node is actually the term that they use for the filled in ones, but yeah, anyway. So we got to see if our Argonauts have it. We're looking for gods. So each Nemos card is going to have 3 traits on it. Neither of these has gods. Go to our next Argonaut. Yeah, okay. I color code in Scribe. I like I don't think I pointed this out in the first video, but I generally like try to color code. Like my Argonauts will always stay in these positions, and I have like I put a little like tab on each of their triskelions to show the color they are, to make it clearer for me between like this and Scribe. But in future cycles, there's also other tokens that you will use in battles and other things that are color coded in a similar way of red, blue, yellow, green. And so doing this kind of color coding is just a nice thing to have, and helps me keep things forward. And then numbering them makes it so they stay in the same order in Scribe. So Anacreon here, our blue. Does he have gods? He does have gods. So we're going to give him a node here. And gaining nodes. I'm pretty sure nodes are what they call the filled in ones. It's like it's kind of like an experience point for your Nemos card. As you gain more nodes for your Nemos card, you unlock more powerful abilities for it. And every one of these darker nodes that you fill in, you get to see, if I subtract here, you can see that it was saying CM031. We can show, which one is that? Death Follows. So that would have been here. You can read that, M031. That just tells you to like, oh, hey, you know, your Argonaut is starting to remember this memory they have. Like it's a checkpoint in their memory, and so you go and read the story about something about the Argonaut remembers. And then once they fill up a single Nemos card fully, then they read the final one, and they're given an option to, I'll say they're typically given an option to retire at that point. Retiring basically just means that, hey, that Argonaut's done. They have found another purpose in life, or they have something else they're trying to achieve. They're going to leave the Argo, or they're going to go do something else. And at that point, you would wake up a new Argonaut from the mausoleum. That's what the room is called that has all the Argonauts in it. So when you do that, you retire an Argonaut. The Nemos that the person retired on that was filled up gets removed from the game for the rest of the game. You can use it in the challenge mode called the Menestus Theater, but you cannot use it again in cycles like 1 through 5. Their other Nemos card that did not get filled up gets put into the Nemos vault. And when you're awakening a new Argonaut, you randomly pull one Nemos card from that vault, and they start with that card. So it's just a way to give that Argonaut at least one Nemos card early on. Then they can get a second Nemos card. Usually the alpha hub or the alpha adventure of each adventure hub contains like an Argonaut can gain a new Nemos card. So that's how you get new ones. So there are some stronger Nemoses in the game. Death Follows is a really good one. So I would like him, you know, when Anacreon retires, I would prefer that he retires on a Dream You Hold, because I do like this one. It's good, but Death Follows is just really, really good because you can get an extra power die, potentially an extra black power die if you have enough danger. And this can really come in handy. Yeah, when I'm trying to kill the adversary this cycle, I would really like to be able to have Anacreon around, so hopefully he doesn't retire. Okay, so he got another Nemos node. Move on. Olympia, still looking for gods. Okay, she is our new Argonaut, so when she came in, who was our one that just retired? I forget. Yeah, I think I mentioned in the first video, we had one Argonaut already retire, who was Raz, so 3 in green. So she was in that green spot that Olympia is now in. She retired. You put some notes in there about. Did I put some notes in there? Oh, I didn't. I need to do this real quick. So the catharsis code is like when an Argonaut retires, it tells you to mark a box on that choice matrix. And the catharsis code is just so you can remember which box was checked for which Argonaut. So she would have retired on M029. So just as a little peek at this, let me find that in the book real quick. And here we have M029. I'm going to skip over the story for now, but here's this choice that we would have gotten. So you could choose that you allow her to retire. You mark this box in the choice matrix, I11, and then you get some other benefit, and she goes off and she does her own thing. Alternatively, you could choose to keep her around. And keeping the Argonauts around it's just frowned upon. There's generally negative consequences for it. Like in this case, it would have been you gain a doom, so that sucks for everybody, and then you cannot gain Nemos nodes. Oh geez. 4 Nemos cards, and then you start each battle with 2 despair tokens. Starting every battle with 2 despair tokens sucks. So if you're gonna choose to keep an Argonaut around, you better have a really good reason for it. I don't think I ever did that in the first playthrough just because it's often very negative. So I11 is the catharsis code that I wanted to add in there, and then if we just double check, we already marked it in our matrix here. We did. So I did mark it in the matrix. Raz retired to be with her daughter. Neat. Good for Raz. We love that for Raz. And then I think we had, so go back to Olympia, gods +1. All right. And then we have gods here as well. If both Nemos cards had the gods trait on it, then it would go to the one that is the most dominant. So whichever one already has more boxes filled in, it would go to that one. I'm like 75% sure that's right. I haven't actually looked it up again since I started playing again. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. So I think it goes to like the dominant memory. Oh, I guess I need to look that up just to double check. All right. Oh, wow. I just happened to flip to the right page in the book. Nemos nodes. Nemos nodes are like experience points for your individual Nemos codes. I said that. Wow, nice. Each Nemos progress track goes from 1 to 10 nodes. At certain thresholds, called breakthroughs, you will experience a Nemos adventure that further illuminates your past, as well as unlocks the next Nemos ability. Usage abilities, in parentheses, usage abilities, will be described in further detail in the battle phase section of the rulebook on page 33. You gain Nemos nodes from various game elements, but the most common source is hub adventures. To gain a Nemos node from a hub adventure, you simply need to match one of the Nemos' traits to the adventure's trait, found on the right of the adventure title. When you're about to resolve a hub adventure, first each Argonaut with a Nemos card with the corresponding trait gains one node for that Nemos. Mark the leftmost empty node on the Argonaut sheet to this Nemos' title. Then important, this way an Argonaut can only gain 1 node per adventure regardless of the number of Nemos cards that with matching traits they have. Next page. This means that if both Nemos cards that have the corresponding trait, they only gain a node for one of them. In that case, the node must go to the dominant Nemos. That is the one with the most nodes. Okay, in case of a tie, the player controlling the Argonaut may choose. Yeah, okay. So, I was right. I don't know, the usage of the word node in that is weird to me, because like, I don't know, to me, I associate node with like an empty box on that, but sure, for other people, it makes more sense. All right, so we got our Argonauts filled in with their Nemos cards, and we are good to go there. We're ready to start our adventure. Oh geez, I have to go back to that page. What was it, on 67? Yeah. All right, let me take a sip of water and then we'll get into some fun story time. Refreshing. Okay. Again, I'm sorry. I don't really have a good view for being able to read at the same time. Read at the same time as showing you the text. I would love to be able to show you the text, but we don't have that now. Hopefully we'll have something for that soon, but yeah, we'll manage. I'm a great storyteller. You love me. It's okay. And you probably prefer me. Even once we have the professionals reading, hopefully if we can do that, you'll probably just be saying, man, I really wish Emerging Boat would read this. Emerging Boat just has such a soothing voice, but at the same time being bold and dramatic, and I laugh, I cry. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. All right, Tears of a Minotaur story. Wow, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I was just thinking about how great my voice is. The adventure is orphaned by the Minotaur. On your travels, you meet a middle-aged woman who claims a group of bandits is terrorizing a vital trading route that leads to several mountain towns in the area, towns loyal to the Minoan dynasty. You remember you were supposed to get some Daedalus contraptions from this region for spare parts for the Argo. Some of the ship's machinas are on the verge of breaking down. Several hours into your trek, a lone woman blocks your path. A Xiphos at her side, she wears what you have come to know as a hornsworn getup. The rustle of leaves on either side of the road tells you that her archers have you surrounded. Pay the tribute to your journey, or join your ancestors in the underworld, the woman says. You've heard of this group. Ariadne's children, sacrifices to the Minotaur saved by the princess. Another example of what happens to people when their idols die. Lost sheep without their shepherd. You remember the old priest's words. For a cause to survive, people need to believe in the idea, not in the leader. We need to choose a party leader. This is an instruction. Choose a party leader. If the Minoan guide is with you, C26. If not, C19. Minoan guide is with us. That is Princess Akakalis. Let's go ahead and just point her out there. Princess Akakalis, the Minoan guide. Wow. Choose a party leader. If the Minoan guide is with you. Okay, so who do we want leading this? We don't have our person anymore. That was, she's the person who retired. She had a really good Nemos for being able to go through adventures and be the party leader. Hey, you know, let's let our newest Argonaut come in and be the leader. Oh, I'm missing a little foot token for her. I wonder what happened to that. Oh, it's because it's this one. All right, so Olympia is going to be our party leader. Minoan guide is with us, so we're going to see paragraph 26 of this adventure. The Minoan guide steps forward and demands these brigands let you pass. The woman leading the bandits laughs, and then she looks her in the eye, her gaze as cold as the ice shining on the mountain peaks looming over you. Even the gods, even the dead gods won't save you now. Then she grabs her Xiphos, and the archers among the trees take aim, ready to fire. You may stand by Akakalis and offer your support. If you do, party leader gains 2 danger, then make an Akakalis tally mark. Yeah, I'll stand by her. You know, fuck the Minoans. I'm at war with them, but I'll stand by Princess Akakalis. I think we've built a bond together. So our party leader is going to gain 2 danger on our Triskelion there. Oops. Don't want to accidentally adjust her fate. Let's go to our dice rolling view because we're going to need to do that soon, I imagine. Oh yeah, not here. More instruction. Then we have the option to choose one of 2 options. You didn't come all this way to be robbed, and the tribute they ask for you is ridiculous. Their numbers are equal to yours. You can take them. You attack. This would cause us to lose 1 diplomacy from the Hornsworn. Or option 2, they haven't attacked you yet. Violence doesn't seem to be their default action. It shouldn't be yours. You try to negotiate. If we do that option, then we lose -1 diplomacy from the Minoans, and we would see 19. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to see if we can talk to them. Plus, I mean, metagaming a bit. We are, if we go back to our diplomacy here, just going to keep emphasizing that I'm at war with the Minoans. I don't lose anything by losing diplomacy from them right now. Like, this is part of the strategy of why you might want to do this. You pick a faction that you are okay with pissing off for a while. We are at -10. We can't go below -10. So I like option 2 because I would choose it thematically, but also metagaming, I would choose that option as well. So clearly option 2 is going to win. So we would subtract 1 from the Minoan diplomacy if we could, but we can't. So we're going to leave that as is. Paragraph 19. Why do you attack merchants, you ask? Her hand reflexes on her Zyphos without leaving it completely. The treacherous king has abandoned us all. He ruined our lives, tearing us from our families. With her free hand, she motions to the trees. Some of us were captured and sold into slavery. Others were bound to become sacrifices to the Minotaur. Time and time again, the fallen king has used us and discarded us like broken tools. She takes a moment to collect herself. Life in the mountains is harsh, and the winters are fickle. We need those supplies to survive. Dead gods know no one will provide for us. Instruction. Choose. Option 1. These people are suffering, but there must be another way to please everyone. Otherwise, this cycle of misery will never end. You convince her to stop attacking the merchants. We would see paragraph 18 for that. Option 2. The ends don't justify the means. The people in the mountain towns are suffering because of their lack of supplies. You use force to make the Hornsworn stop attacking the merchants. That would result in diplomacy -1 with the Hornsworn. And we'd see paragraph 45. And then option 3, our final option. She's right. They deserve justice for all the crimes the Minoan dynasty committed against them. The Argo will have to go without repairs for a few weeks longer. You return to the Argo. That would result in gaining a diplomacy with the Hornsworn, losing a diplomacy with the Minoans, and seeing paragraph 47. I mean, story-wise and metagaming-wise, I'm just against option 2. I don't think that's the right answer. So other choices, option 1, we could try to find a way to please everyone. Convince her to stop attacking the merchants. Yeah. If I wasn't at war with the Minoans, I might try to choose that option because I would want to try to please everybody. Option 3, Hornsworn are right. Screw the Minoans. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm going to be doing the metagaming option a little bit here because I think thematically I would slightly prefer to go with option 1. But I do want to maximize a little bit my diplomacy thing here before I try to make peace with the Minoans. So I'm going to do option 3. So we're going to gain a diplomacy with the Hornsworn. So we're now maxed out at diplomacy with them. +10 being allied is not the same as -10 being at war. +10, you can still lose diplomacy from this. This is not like a quote-unquote sticky point like being at war is. So we do max out that, which is nice. It gives us flexibility to go against the Hornsworn a little bit later on if we need to and still be allied with them. And then we would lose 1 from the Minoan diplomacy, but we are at our lowest point with them, so we don't lose anything. And that's going to lead us to paragraph 47 of this adventure. Everywhere you go, you witness the results of Minos' crimes, and this road is no exception. The Hornsworn are only doing what is necessary to survive in a world where people have to suffer the consequences of one man's failures and greed. These mountain towns will have to solve their problems on their own, and so will Alcibiades' artificers, for that matter. Ariadne's children deserve justice for what happened to them, and although you can't provide it, you can at least let them be. Ooh. Oh, I'm gonna lose an Argo hull from the. Okay, well, let me show the results here. It's really hard to do this, but yeah, 47. Oh, I could have just shown that in the little dice count, whatever. Yeah, 47 is what we had to read here. We're gonna lose 2 Argo Fate. So start with that. Losing Argo Fate is nice. I'm not optimizing there. Darn. But oh well, I had no way of knowing I was going to lose Argo Fate this way. We are going to place 1 progress token on Inward's Odyssey. Boom. Increase Argo Knowledge to 13. Let's make a note of this so I don't forget. I'm going to be better about trying to do this stuff in the app here. Let's see. I'm going to call it IO 13. I don't need a dash there. Let's be efficient. So yeah, subtract 2 Argo Fate, place 1 progress token on Inward's Odyssey, and we lose 1 hull. Oof, I think we have the save against losing the hull there. Let's check our technology bonuses. Save. Argo onboarding. No. Yeah, Argo onboarding. That's what we want. Gain +1 Argo Fate when you're about to lose hull during the voyage or adventure phase to test X+, where X is 3 plus your current hull value. Success, lower this hull loss by 1 to a minimum of 0. Yeah, so I think like what I would love to be able to do here, I don't think we can do, is that because I only had 1 Argo Fate to lose when we had the opportunity to lose 2 Argo Fate, I would love to be able to gain an Argo Fate to use this. So to like do that, try to prevent that hull loss first, and then we would be able to lose 2 Argo Fate, the full 2 Argo Fate. Unfortunately, what we have is in this little outcome here, maybe a little hard to see, the Argo Fate and Inward's Odyssey are part of the same sentence that comes before the loss of hull. What I've seen from a lot of rulings in like Discord and all these things is that generally when you have multiple things happening in the same sentence, they're kind of happening simultaneously. This specifically applies in fights when you're generally taking like an attack from a primordial. Some of these rulings are really important there. Like those effects happen simultaneously, and some of those can be a little bit obscure. But the Argo hull loss is in a completely separate sentence afterwards, so it has to come after. So we have to lose the Argo Fate first and then try against the hull loss. But we have the timeline battle coming up. We're at 0 Argo Fate. I am happy to try to prevent this Argo loss, hull loss. Hull loss. I need to enunciate that better. We're going to prevent this Argo hull loss, or we're at least going to try. So we would do the save. We're going to take our D10 there. This is just my little liquid core die that I really like using. At least for like attacks and Argo things and tests and all that stuff. So we need to gain an Argo Fate. Boom. So what was it? X +3, or yeah, it's our current hull +3. We would have to get a 6 or higher to succeed. This is not a diplomacy test, so we don't have any kind of thing from our diplomacy modifier. 3. So I did not succeed on that roll. Oh, shoot. I'm not showing my my die there. I rolled a 3. I didn't succeed on that roll. Let me double check, because I think these, because this is it's still a test, but it is not specific to an Argonaut, so I should be able to use Argo Fate to re-roll this. Let's see. I think I'd find this under the Argo Fate section. No. Let's see. Maybe is there tests? See tests. See adventure tests and rolls. Also see tests and battle. No, I want to see adventure tests and rolls. Page 31. No, yeah, it's where I was at. Argonaut tests, Argo tests. Tests that are not resolved by a specific Argonaut are Argo tests. They are commonly found on technology cards. These can be re-rolled using Argo Fate instead of an Argonaut's regular fate statistic. For all other purposes, they are resolved like Argonaut tests. Okay, cool. So I am happy to try to take one more Argo Fate to re-roll this. If I didn't have a timeline battle coming up and I wasn't already I wasn't already so low on Argo Fate, I might reconsider, but I would really like to prevent this whole loss. 5. Nope, unfortunately, we don't prevent it. So we're gonna gain another Argo Fate. We're gonna lose 1 hull. So we don't want to go to 0 hull. If we go to 0 hull, we die. We would lose the campaign. Yeah, if that happens, we'll have to figure out some kind of alternative punishment, because I don't like the idea of the campaign loss. I like that the threat of it is there, but restarting a campaign is not something I like the idea of doing. I don't know if I actually ever lost. I was close to losing in a couple of cycles in my first playthrough. I don't know if I ever had to come up with like an alternative punishment. Yeah, but we'll see. Losing a campaign is a big loss. If we get to that situation, maybe we'll look on Discord. I'm sure some people have good ideas for things that they did for it. Anyway, we're far from that point. We'll find some way to get some hull back. So we are finished with that adventure, and on to so now we return to the voyage phase. Our adventure hub is done. Let's go ahead and take a look at our map again. So again, I'm taking longer on some of these steps than I think we will in the future, just because I'm explaining a lot of things. But hey, we're being thorough to start. That's good. So let's go ahead and look at our round summary. Boom. We just did our expedition step. Good job, everybody. Did a great job. Encounter step, so we don't have a timeline battle today. We have one on the next day, so this step will apply at that point. But right now we do not have we don't have any battles marked on our timeline. So we're going to skip that step. Next would be the advancement step. So if we had any breakthroughs, technology breakthroughs marked on our timeline, we would go ahead and resolve those now. I'll double check this. I don't think we have any of those. And then additionally, we can do some other Argo abilities. Like if we were on a city step, we could do our negotiation abilities to maybe try to get some, what's it called? I actually forgot to move my last city token. This is one of the things that I suck at, so hopefully people will be able to call me out on remembering this. I never, it's just moving the token, I always forget. This tile has a city marker on it, and we have our little token down here I think I missed this twice. My gosh. We have a little token down here. It's just a reminder token to be like, hey, this is the last city that you visited. You cannot just keep going back to a city and using those negotiation abilities. So the idea is that once you leave a tile with a city on it, you move that token to that tile, just to prevent you from being able to go, like boom, 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 and constantly using those negotiation abilities, which can be really good, especially if you're trying to like build up diplomacy with a certain faction. So yeah, you just need to move the token around as a reminder, but generally I try to avoid doubling back on tiles anyway, because I like exploring new tiles and getting things that way, mostly trying to get adventure hubs done. Okay, so let's see, we don't have any, so yeah, here's an example of like a technology breakthrough. This is saying research combat. So this is something that we would do tomorrow, or on the next day we'll do this in our advancement step. These other things are just other little sections that we can read during the story step, which we're going to do now because I don't think we have anything that we really want to do in the advancement step. Go ahead and take a look. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of water real quick. Pardon me. Probably don't need to announce to you every time I'm taking water. Just want to keep you up to speed. Want to keep you updated on my hydration. Hydration, homies. All right. So for our bonuses here for technology, let me just give a quick overview of some of these. Argo abilities, they are for combat, so we can ignore those right now. Negotiation, these are the ones that you would do if you were on a city space. We're not on a city space right now, so we ignore that. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that my Argo just blends in so well with the background of some of these tiles. I wonder, does it look better if I do this? Doesn't look better for me, but maybe it looks better for you. No, not really. I like to have the Argo facing in the direction that it came from, just because it's fun. Okay, so we don't have to worry about any negotiation stuff right now because we are not on a city tile. Saves are, they come up at certain points, like for example, when we were about to lose the hull, when we're about to do an adversary symbol, or we're about to gain doom, that kind of stuff. And then these other structural technologies, I think these are, let's see, yeah, these, some of these could apply. We could gain 1 Argo Fate to test diplomacy 7. I don't want to do any diplomacy tests right now. This one also kind of sucks because spending an Argo Fate to get a chance to lose a despair token, kind of dumb. Maze Exorcism. Yeah, we don't have anybody with Maze Touch. This is a good one. Maze Touch is a condition that is like gets applied to your Argonaut, and it's there. Those kinds of conditions are rare. I'm not sure if they're in every cycle. I think they're in most cycles. At least 2. I'm trying to think. No, at least 3. There's one cycle that has a lot of different types. Anyway, yeah, Maze Touch is a special condition. Some story things might apply to that, where like, hey, if your Argonaut has Maze Touch, you get this kind of penalty, or this bad thing happens to you. Additionally, in fights with certain primordials, having Maze touched can make your life a little bit more miserable. We'll show that when we get to it. But nobody has Maze touched right now, but this is a nice ability to have. Priests are a resource, which is just kind of a ridiculous statement. Yeah, like what happens when you use a priest? Are you just like, are you just draining that priest? Give me your holiness, oh priest. You just throwing that priest overboard, sacrifice. I don't know. I never thought about that before. These are the kinds of questions. We should see if we can get Marcin to answer those questions on Discord. Yeah, I'm just skimming to see, mainly to see what things I have that can allow me to gain hull. Yeah, I think this is the only one that I have that I could use to, like, not even, I mean, I can't even really predict hull gain, but like if we go on a tile and there's an axe symbol on it, I don't think I actually have any of those tiles showing. Then we could gain a hull. One thing that I'm also remembering that's kind of, if you are using Scribe to track everything, it does a really good job of tracking prerequisites for technologies. But one of the things it tracks as well is tiles explored. And that is important for some technologies. This not really that important right now, but as I'm thinking about it, I want to consider it. Yeah. Let's look at a couple of these. So here's a couple of structural technologies, intelligence gathering and deeply embedded spies that have a requirement for a certain number of map tiles explored. And I never used the feature in Scribe for being able to lay out the map tiles. So if we were to go into here, because what this requires is that you can go in and take a picture of all of your map tiles and then upload them into Scribe, and then you could really use this to do your entire map. I don't know if there's any limitations to it because I never actually have used it, but a little bit of something to note is that Scribe does, at least from what I remember, it does use this to determine if you meet the requirement for the number of map tiles. So if you are not tracking your map tiles in here, you have to pay attention to which technologies have maps as a requirement. You can see here deeply embedded spies and intelligence gathering. They have their plus symbol grayed out. And if we click on them, again, amazing app. The Scribe for Aeon Trespass, I don't remember the name of the developer, unfortunately. But it's such a awesome app. I do like the official app from Into the Unknown for Aeon Trespass. It does allow you to do a lot of things. And what was it, at the beginning of last year, I think it was, they did an entire overhaul of it. But the biggest downside of it is that it's a little bit slower, just because it's a much more resource intensive app. So I do still like Scribe. I'm just very used to Scribe. The developer for this is just has built a great simple app. But if you want to use the voiceovers for Aeon Trespass, you have to use the official app for it. And it's a good app. You can use that. You can track everything in there. And like I said, that overall they did was awesome for it. It does look really good. So if you're looking for something that looks the most polished, then I think that's probably the best way to go. But yeah, so in here you can see Scribe is showing like what the requirements are and then which ones you meet and which ones you don't. So we have anti-indoctrination philosophy, but what we don't have is intelligence gathering and the explored map tile. So even if we go to intelligence gathering, we can see that we have diplomatic relations. It's saying we don't have 30 plus explored map tiles. But the problem is that we do, right? Yeah, I'm on day 36, and I've explored a new map tile almost every day. Not quite every day, because the original path I took was like boom, 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 boom here, and then I backtracked a little bit and then just kind of zigzagged. Ran into the pursuer, the adversary, a few times because of zigzagging. It's not always the most efficient route if you want to avoid the pursuer. And I went down here, up, boom, and then went up and then around. So yeah, I like just trying to be able to explore as many tiles as possible. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. There were a couple of tiles here that we didn't get a chance to explore. Yeah, this one over here you can kind of tell was going to be a dead end because we have the adjacent tiles around it. I am showing the right screen, okay. We have the adjacent tiles around it, and you probably can't tell from there, but none of these tiles show any connecting paths to that tile, so the only way to get in was from this tile above it. So we would have had to backtrack there. If I remember correctly, I think those dead end paths are where we would find that axe symbol to be able to get the hull. So if we were like desperate for hull, which we could be soon, we're at 2 out of 5, it's not great. We could go there to like have a higher chance. I mean, unless I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure there's an axe symbol there, so we could get a hull from that spot. So anyway, you can still, like, if you're like me, you're doing things the way I'm doing, like, just for these ones that don't have the plus symbol, you just kind of want to remember which ones have, or be paying attention to which ones have the tiles associated with them. Count the number of tiles you have. Like, let's say if I was unlocking a structural technology right now, I'm just going off on a tangent. But if I wanted to do this anyway without having to add the map tiles in the map section, you would just go to technology, you go to add technology, and then we could just search for intelligence gathering, and you could add it manually this way, and that kind of bypasses that prerequisite check. So be careful when you're doing that. You want to make sure that you're not accidentally adding a technology that you don't meet all the prerequisites to, but if it's just the tiles you're missing because of the programming, then yeah, it's a good way to get around it. Okay. Then, yeah, now we're on the story phase. Story and doom phases are the last phases of the day. Yeah, you know, it's only taken us, what, close to an hour and a half to get through one day. If it takes you an hour and a half to get through each day of a cycle in Aeon Trespass, probably not a good pace to be at. We don't want to maintain this pace the rest of cycle 1, but doing a lot of explaining along the way. I'm sure I'm going to be going through this cycle more slowly than I normally would, because I'm probably going to be over explaining some things throughout the recordings, but because it'll be fun. But anyway, so we had our story step. So we had our hidden map tile. I'll actually need to look this up at some point, because I think if you find a hidden code on a map tile, I think you technically are supposed to read it maybe during the that movement step or the exploration step, one of those two, probably exploration step. But yeah, then the inwards odysseys are a little weird. That's why I put IO. There's 2 symbols you can use to gain, or there's 2 ways you can gain inwards odyssey. One is like with a little, oh, this card actually shows it. Let's go to this view. You can either get 2 progress tokens, and that would increase your inward odyssey, or what is it called? Yeah, that would increase your inward odyssey number over here. And in that case, you mark the inward odyssey number, and you would resolve that increase during the story step. But if I remember correctly, if you encounter that symbol, it looks like a little, I guess a kind of a book. It's either a book with a pen or a book with a torch or something like that. But yeah, it's a little book symbol is something in there. If you encounter that and you gain an inwards odyssey that way, like that is just straight up +1 inwards odyssey. And I think you resolve that at the end of your current voyage phase step, sorry. I'm not sure why there's that distinction there, but I'm fairly confident that is true. That's how I've been playing it, at least. So yeah, we are gonna read our 0281. That's the secret code for the tile that we're on. So we're gonna find that by going to the main story of the cycle. We're gonna find that paragraph 0281. Well, actually, this is a case where it'd probably matter, but okay. So I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna check this ruling. No, before I check that, we're gonna resolve this now, and then we'll check the ruling to see when we actually resolve this, because you'll see why. Okay, here we go. As the Argo closes in on the cliff. Actually, ooh, you know what? Ooh, let's do this. Because these secret passages are tied to a specific tile, they might often reference the geography or like something associated with the tile. So I think it'd be fun to be able to see the tile that we're talking about. I'm taking another sip of water real quick. Hydro homies. I'm gonna stop saying hydro homies. I'm not actually one of them. I do like to drink a lot of water, but I don't carry a gallon around with me. But kudos to those people that do. Okay. Paragraph 0281. As the Argo closes in on the cliff, the crew takes the Acropolis deck. Everyone wants to see the huge chains, the manacles so big even a Titan wouldn't lift them, the blood-red stains on the rocky wall. You see what isn't there. Someone or something chained. Judging by the vegetation on the giant buildings and the flocks of birds that nest there, it has been some years since they broke free. Many whisper, Prometheus, though you are not so quick to draw conclusions. The gods in their pettiness have dispensed cruelty freely and frequently, and besides, these chains are far too big for a Titan, even one of myth. Still, the very thought of one defying the gods and breaking their destiny fills you with hope. Subtract 2 Argo Fate and gain 1 Titan. Yeah, so the reason why I do need to look at the ruling of this is that I'm going to do this now, and we're gonna look up the ruling afterwards and see. Because depending on when you're losing that Argo Fate, it can matter, especially in our case where like we got Argo Fate during an adventure hub, losing it before or after, like I don't think one is necessarily better than the other, but I think really the important thing is about being consistent. So if we're gonna do it, let's just see if it's called out in the rule book. Otherwise, we'll continue doing it the way we just did with resolving it in a story step, because that is how I've been doing it during this playthrough. It would probably be in the exploration part of this rule book. So we can find that. Voyage phase. Let's see. Oh yeah, one thing that the rulebook mentions that I actually didn't call out here. You can't choose to stay on the same tile multiple days in a row. Like you have to move. So, in case you're wondering. Other movement symbols, map symbols. I don't think I see anything. I mean, they probably didn't want to. It's probably intentional that they don't say anything about those codes because they just kind of want it to be more of an Easter egg. I think that's one of the things that they probably throughout the game they kind of like have this walk this fine line of like trying to be secretive while also being clear with the rules. Because this game does have a lot of really cool secret content to uncover, and like they do protect a lot of things, whether it's like cards or mechanics or, you know, story points. It's really, really well done. And that's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite games, is because of that hidden content that you unlock. Yeah, sometimes the downsides is that you may not find clear rulings on things in the rulebook, because that was kind of like spoilery, and they don't want to put those spoilers in there. Yeah, the rules for this game are they could be more clearly defined. They got better at that in Kingdoms Forlorn, but even Kingdoms Forlorn, I think the rulebook could still use some improvement. It's a really complex game, so it is hard to get that rulebook right. I think some other more professional people have had some more defined opinions on that, but there's a lot of like gray areas with some of the rulings. Like, I mean, this is one of them. I'm sure if I go into Discord, that's like, if you are playing this game and you want to actually play it correctly, highly recommend looking at Discord, because the developer, like the lead developer producer, Marcin, I forget how to pronounce his last name, but he actually goes into the Discord frequently. There's like an official Discord and an unofficial Discord. The official Discord is a little bit newer, but obviously the staff go to the official Discord more often now. But there's like a weekly Q&A that the Into the Unknown team hosts for each of the games, actually. Kingdoms Forlorn, Aeon Trespass, what do they have other games? They have older games that are out now, but I forget what they are. I haven't played them. But they'll do a Q&A on rules questions. Sometimes the answers can conflict with some things that were previously ruled. They may not always be the most clear, but it's incredible that they do that. It's a really engaging community, both just like the other players who are part of this game, who play this game and go on Discord, and the staff. The Discord is awesome. There's another member of the Discord channel, Artifice, I believe is his name. I just don't go on Discord that much, other than just kind of like lurking, so I forget people's names, but yeah, pretty sure it's Artifice, who, oh, I would need to double check this now if I feel bad if I'm getting the person wrong. But put together a whole separate rule book called The Law of ATO. And it's meant to be like basically a redesigned rulebook for Aeon Trespass, more of like an easier to access reference guide that has things more clearly spelled out. And I haven't looked at it in some months, like about a year ago. I guess that's probably when I was last playing, like some things from the Menestus Theater, or I guess maybe it was in Cycle 5 at that point. But I was using the Law of ATO from time to time as a quick lookup, and he goes in and updates those rules with like rulings that have been made unofficially or officially, quote unquote, in the Discord, like by the actual Into the Unknown Studios team. He's updated his Law of ATO rulebook to include those rulings. So if you want like a single source of truth, I assume he's still maintaining that. I hope he is, because it was really, really well done. So shout out to him. Okay, I'm actually going to go in and make sure that when you give somebody a shout out for something of that magnitude, you want to make sure they're getting their name right. Okay, I haven't updated Discord in a while. All right, here we go. Downloading update 5 of 8, 7 of, this is great content. Let me just narrate my updating of Discord so I can go look up somebody's name here. Where I think he had a whole, what do they call them in Discord, thread or forum or something. Law of ATO. I'll give this like 30 seconds to see if I can find it. Yeah, okay, it was Artifice. Cool. Yeah, shout out to Artifice. Awesome. There's a lot of awesome people in the Discord. There's another person, Addy, who has been, he's one of the other people who, at least at the time when I was playing last year, like he was making a lot of progress through the Menestus Theater, the challenge mode, and he was like going through and writing guides for everybody. Yeah, if you're looking for guides on how to play against certain primordials, he's got some really good content out there. He and a couple other people were making a lot of progress in Menestus Theater, and were pushing me to make more progress as well. So it's always good to have that kind of friendly competition there. Yeah, really smart people who play this game. Really smart people who make this game too. Okay, that's it. I'm done just going off on a tangent there about folks on Discord. Go check out the Discord. It's a great place, even if I'm not that active on it. Okay, so we did our hidden story tile there. Then the next thing that we're going to do is our... what was the other thing that we wrote down? Come on, emerging boat. What are you doing? IO 13. Yeah, okay, we have an Inwards Odyssey. The Inwards Odysseys are great. They often you get a lot of insightful content from them. There are some folks on Discord who have gone through and done a lot more dissection of the story and lore of ATO, and I think the Inward Odysseys are some of the most often referenced, as well as the adventure hubs. There's actually a lot of really important information in the adventure hubs as well. Okay. Inwards Odyssey, page number 92. 92. We're going. So here's, look at this. We got some cool artwork there. That's our Inwards Odyssey. Yeah, that's our ship. Beautiful. So we're gonna find number 32. Oh, also, let's see. Not 32, number 13. There's not 32. Okay. I am going to give an example of something I will be somewhat spoilery about. There are codes. I'm going to show Inwards Odyssey 2 content here. There are codes for these glyphs. So throughout cycle 1, you find these glyphs. Sometimes they're in adventure hubs, sometimes they're in the story content, but it'll be like 4 of these glyphs side by side, and you can try to decode it. There are different, what's the word I'm looking for? Like ciphers and hidden languages in different cycles. I don't think every cycle has one. I think, is it just three of the 5 have them? Maybe it's more than that, I forget. I know of at least 3 of the different, I remember at least 3 of the different ciphers that they have in their languages. I am, like, as I'm going through my second playthrough, like, I'm going to be either referencing the ones that I've already decoded, or I'm going to be decoding them on the spot. So I'm going to give spoilers about how you actually decode some of these things. There's one of them, I won't say which, there's one of them that's a real pain in the ass to decode. I mean, 2 of them kind of are. This one's really easy. Really easy in that it's like once you know the trick to it, then it becomes pretty easy to decode. You know, maybe it takes you time to actually figure out how to do it, but if you don't want to know how to do it, don't watch my videos because I'm going, or if you don't want it to be spoiled for you, don't watch my videos because I'm just going to be talking about it. But I'm not going to be talking about the future ones until I get to that point. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see we'll see. We'll handle those cycles when we get to them. Anyway, Inwards Odyssey number 13. Give me 1 second. All right. You still haven't gotten over the fact that there has been another tribe of people living on the Argo since before the ship left Cephalonia. Yet you know they're here among you, sharing their knowledge of the city ship. Pause real quick. So yeah, Cephalonia was the city. Am I pronouncing that right? Cephalonia. Yeah, that looks right. Cephalonia was the city or the island or the land where the Argo was at when the old priest got on it, I believe. That's where it had sailed from. And in one of the most recent Inwards Odysseys, the previous one, we discovered this whole civilization of people who were like down deep in the depths, somewhere below deck of the Argo. So we just uncovered a whole civilization just chilling on the ship. Okay, picking up the story. Sharing their knowledge of the city ship. It's with their help that you find a hidden chamber where a giant stone stele, stele? S-T-E-L-E? I have to look up how to pronounce that. Stone stele has been laid on its side, a web of bronze and wood scaffolding enveloping it. The wood is all but decayed, but the bronze still holds. Your craftsmen get to work. The stele is a okay. I'm sorry, I need to look up how to pronounce this so I can pronounce it correctly. Pronounce. That is like steel. Okay, just like that can't be right. The steel is a precisely cut block, and the writing etched into it is reminiscent of the Centimane's glyphs, though it seems a bit cruder. Could it perhaps come from an earlier period of the many-handed giant's history? As you explore the numerous walkways of the scaffolding, you find bronze plates with partial translations, presumably done by the people who commanded the Argo before you came along. You've never given this topic much thought. You were woken up from the sleepless sleep and took command of the ship, and that was that. You just assumed the ship was yours. You were entombed on it after all, but what if there had been someone before you? Someone who built the ship, who sailed it, and who ultimately beached it on the shores of Cephalonia. On the other hand, the Argo left that island of its own accord. Could it have sailed crewless before? If so, why was it built? For whom? And then there is... I won't spoil the entire thing until we actually get to one thing where we need to show it, but we're saying that symbol means 6. So that's one of the Centimane's glyphs. The stele doesn't answer any of these questions. It tells many stories, though, of the Centimanes and another people called the Genjanese. Genjanese? One part is wholly dedicated to a record of war with some tyrannical empire, the Leleges, but the rest deals with the land. The land was untamed, the stele reads, and the herds ran free. The Genjanese ran free too. This was the proposition of Gaia. Then came the Olympians, and they gave many things to the giant people, one of which was agriculture. Demeter taught them to plow, to sow, and to reap. And the land was tamed, and nothing was the same anymore. Gaia, an elder god. It's not a name you hear often. In the times before the eschaton, the priests forbade it. An ancient enemy defeated by the gods to usher in the age of Olympians. If the official history is to be believed, Demeter was the one who dealt the final blow to the Earth Mother. Such devastating power. You suddenly feel it flow through you, as if reading the stele awoke something inside you. and from the Titan stoa, a thunderous wail that shakes the hull as the Titans howl in unison. They felt it too. Instruction. Gain the Demeter God Form Awakening card. Secret Deck 3, card 26. Where do I have that stashed? So, yeah, we just found a new God form. I haven't talked about God forms at all. But God forms are amazing. So throughout the story, we're kind of like learning some of the history of ancient Greece, or like not the history of ancient Greece, some of the mythology, some Greek mythology. What am I trying to say? And at some points, we might unlock special things like awakenings and God forms. Awakenings and God forms are pretty much the same thing, but in combat, when your Titan is about to die from an obol draw, which is a trauma draw that is initially a 50-50 chance of dying, and it only gets worse from there. You have this chance to have like a last second of hope, just something to push you over the edge that turns your Titan from just a normal Titan to a Titan that is awakened and empowered by the gods. And you only have like a 10% chance of hitting it, because basically it's, you draw an obol and then you roll a die, and if you get a 10 on it, then you can awaken. But they're sick. God forms are amazing. They're really powerful. When you roll that 10, damn, does it feel good. So we have a couple of God forms already, but the one that we just unlocked is Demeter. And look how awesome that artwork is. That's just really cool. Yeah, and many hands like the Centimanes, many hands like the Hecaton. Wonder if there's some relationship there. But yeah, then we have the Demeter name down there, God form. There he is. We have some of his abilities. So if you are awakened into Demeter, you get this awesome ability called Roots of the Earth. You cannot be involuntarily moved or suffer knockdown. Really good. Very, very powerful. Start of your turn, you may lose up to 2 danger. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever felt like that was overpowered or anything. But he has a black power die. So Titans generally have a red power die. In the base game, you start off with 3 types of power dice: the red, the black, and the white, increasing strength. And so black is pretty good. Being able to essentially upgrade your Titan die from a red to a black is really powerful. And he gets an extra black power die. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not a power die. That is an armor die. I believe I just double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's an armor die. Like usually when you see these dice like this, this is a when it has that power symbol on there, that like angular looking line, that's power. And then when it has that triangle looking symbol, that's potential. That's because, yeah, you can see there's some examples too. These are both power, and then this one has power and potential. But in the iconography like this, you generally use the, well, we'll see this when the combat comes up, but armor dice are usually denoted as that die symbol plus the potential. And power dice are generally shown as the die plus the power symbol on it. And just checking something else on separate God form here. Yeah, okay. So some of the other God forms that we already have unlocked here. we have Poseidon and we have Zeus. So now we have 3 different god forms that we can potentially awaken into. And it's very, especially in cycle 1, it's going to be rare that we really ever use these. Awakening is just very lucky to be able to do it. So maybe at some points in the future we might be able to awaken more, but you are also limited in how often you can awaken. So if we go to our Argo page and then we go to God forms and summons. Oh, I need to add my God forms here. All right, so we have Demeter and we have Poseidon. We've already unlocked both of these. You can, if I remember correctly, you can awaken into each god form once, and you would indicate that here. So like if I happen, I mean, it's very unlikely that you're actually going to be able to awaken. You're going to hit this limit where you run out of god forms to awaken into, really at any part of the game. But let's say I was about to die and I awakened into Zeus instead, I would have to put this check mark here. And then I could not awaken into Zeus again until something allows me to clear this check mark. Generally a divine not divine intervention. Oh, I forget the term. Divine surge. Divine surge would allow us to clear off the check marks on these and use those awakenings again. Additionally, we have these other things called nymphs, and they are like you summon a nymph. And some of the art on these is a little lewd. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, here's some of the art on these. So very cool artwork. Very well done. And then they have different abilities on them. Nymphs are easier to use. You have a little bit more restriction on how you use them, in that like you can choose when you want to use a nymph. They have some conditions on like when you can use them, but you have the ability to use them voluntarily as opposed to just a lucky dice roll. But we have currently a summon limit of 1. So actually I need to add another nymph here because I've unlocked one that I didn't note. We should have Engine, Amaltheon, and Solitude. So we did not do the Solitude nymph. So if I were to have used the Amaltheon nymph, for instance, like, oh, it doesn't actually prevent me from doing it here. I cannot use the Engine nymph or the Solitude nymph until a Divine Surge happens because I have reached my summon limit. And I forget, so let's see, summon charges. Difference between the summon charges and the, oh, okay, no, I guess this just allows me to say like, if I've used any of them. Make sure if I reset all here. Oh, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I think what this is showing is that this is my limit of summon charges I can use. I start off, like when a Divine Surge happens, you are at the maximum number of charges. And then as you use a nymph, you would decrement your number of charges. There are ways outside of Divine Surge that you can get charges back. I think there's a technology that allows you to exchange basically priests and Argo Fate for charges, but some nymphs are really strong, some are really not as strong. This Engine nymph can come in handy sometimes. Allows you to move an extra space in the voyage phase if you have a certain number of hull or less. So we would meet those requirements, so we could use that if we wanted to. Then there's also really good ones like the Solitude nymph, which allows you to just, if a Titan's already died during a battle, you can just ignore an AI card when it comes up, which is incredible. And we will be using that in, we try to kill our adversary. So that's nymphs. Okay, we're at about the 2-hour mark. We just finished a single day. Yeah, we're going a little bit slower than I would like. We'll pick up the pace a little bit. I was hoping to be able to get to the battle in this video, but that is not the case. I think I'll start another video for the next day, which will contain a battle. I'm sure that will be another video where it's just one day equals one video. And then hopefully from that point, we'll be able to pick up the pace quite a bit. The battles are going to take a decent amount of time, just because I like to sit and think about my turns. So you might have to suffer through some of my, I'll generally be trying to talk out loud and think through my decisions out loud. But that's one of the things I really like about playing this game, is just the ability to sit and think about each of the actions during a battle, because it's just rewarding to be able to be very tactical about it. And it's a hard game, so sometimes you absolutely need that. But we'll be able to pick up the pace quite a bit in the voyage phase, especially during days where we don't have an adventure hub to resolve. Like if you don't have an adventure hub and you don't have a battle, then you can go through, like, you know, 1 or 2 days in like 5 minutes. So it's not completely linear in terms of time spent per day. But anyway, let's go ahead and stop it there. I will pick up in another video with day 37, and I'll see you all on the next video.